Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo!
Hello and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. I'm so excited for you guys to hear from my very next guest. I had the pleasure of being on her podcast, and now she gets to be on mine. In a minute, I'm going to have Megan introduce herself to you. She's a board-certified holistic health coach, and she's had her practice for over 7 years, so she's probably seen it all. So I'm super excited to get into today's topic. We're going to talk everything about meal planning, negative self-talk, body image, morning routines, anything you can think about with that. I probably have heard me talk about a healthy lifestyle before. We're going to probably touch on it today. So I'm super excited to have you. Megan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Tony. I'm excited to be here. I had so much fun a couple of weeks ago when we chatted, so I'm glad to do it again.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this. So the first question I always have my guests answer, it's a 3-part question. I want you to introduce yourself by sharing who you are, what you do, and more importantly, why you do what you do.
Absolutely. So my name is Megan Lyons. I own the Lyons Share Wellness, which, as you said, has been in my life for just about 8 years, which is crazy to me. I had kind of a winding journey to get here. So I started in the business world. I got my undergrad from Harvard in economics, of all things. And I did what I thought the only option was for someone who wanted to be in business, which was management consulting. And I was very grateful for that. I learned a lot, but I traveled 4 days a week, every single week of the year. And that is not a very healthy lifestyle. Combined with working 80 plus hours a week, it was really just draining me. So I started learning about nutrition then, just in an effort to get more energy for myself. I was in the cycle of beating myself up and trying to restrict food, and all kinds of funky things were happening. So I started learning about nutrition, got an MBA, and at the same time started investigating if I could do this as a career. But then I was like, I'm not sure. So I went back to management consulting for a few years. And finally in 2014, I took the leap and opened the Lyons Share Wellness. And through there, I added on certifications, a master's in holistic nutrition, and a bunch more. But that's how I got here. I think that's part of who I am is my business, but also who I am is a wife. I've been married. Actually, we have been dating or married for 18 years as of yesterday. So quite a long time to my husband, Kevin. And we have 2 dogs, Maverick and Riley, who are Maverick's adorable. Riley's a pain, but also adorable. And we live in Dallas, which I love as well. So then second part, what do I do at the Lyons Share Wellness? I do everything I can, everything in my power to help people find the real nutrition information, which I know is similar to your mission. There's so much junk, so much negativity, so much toxicity on the market, both toxicity in terms of information and food. So I'm helping people heal their relationship with food and feel their best inside and out. And that comes in the form of one-to-one coaching, in the form of what I call an accelerator, which is more of a group coaching model, in the form of speaking, podcasting, anything I can do. And then finally, the last part of your question, why do I do what I do? It's twofold. It's one, the story that I touched on just slightly, that I was in the spiral of hating my body, beating up on my body mentally and physically, and just not treating it well. And I knew there had to be a better way. So I struggled to find that. I want to make it easier for other people. And the second part is, honestly, it feels so good to me to see clients transform their lives and their relationship with food and find freedom. It's like, it's positive altruism because it just gives me as much as it gives to them. I love it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Do you mind maybe sharing some things that you've seen in clients that they've transformed? Like you said, it really is life-changing. Like I've watched clients like heal their relationship with food and get a better job, or it's just so many like more positive things happen as a result of taking care of you. What are some like life changing things that have happened with some of your clients?
Oh gosh, I wish we had like 4 hours. I'm going to think of 3 quick stories to tell you. The first one, I think when we finished working together, which was the process of about a year, this woman was close to 70, so in her upper 60s. And she said to me a line that I will never forget. She said, in 60 plus years, I have never looked in the mirror and accepted what I've seen. Mm-hmm. I'm tearing up right now because that's so long. For 6 plus decades to be hating what you see. And honestly, her transformation was a little bit physical, but it was so much mental. And she said, finally, I look in the mirror and I love myself. And I was like, yes, my job is done. Thank you very much. So that kind of emotional transformation I love. On the opposite end of the spectrum, I had a college age client who was vomiting, not intentionally. She just had a lot of GI issues at least once per day. And when we finished working together, she had not thrown up for over 3 months. And that, imagine as a college age student having to deal with that every single day. She was in excruciating pain. So that kind of thing also gets your life back, even though she didn't have the body image issues. And then a general story, but my favorite type of client is just someone who feels like they cannot prioritize themselves. They might be a busy CEO with 3 kids and they're, volunteering and they're social and all of this stuff, and just teaching them that they can take time for themselves, and that makes them better at all of those other things they're doing. Those are some of my favorite types of clients to serve.
Ah, that's so great. And I love that you work with a variety of different types of people, which I think is just goes to speak to just like your nature and your ability to connect with others. I think it's really special. So thank you for what you do. It's really, really awesome.
And vice versa.
Thank you. Thank you. So one of the things that you talk about a lot on your social media, and I know that you do this with your clients, is I think one way that you help them to, actually, you mentioned it before we even got on this call, some of your, within your program, you have people like fill out a form, and it might be like, tell yourself 2 things that you like about yourself when you look in the mirror. Like,
yeah,
I think that when it comes to healing body image or whatever it is, we tend to get in our heads a lot, and we tend to talk to ourselves not in a way we would talk to a friend, like the complete opposite. So a lot of negative self-talk. How can someone break out of that habit?
Wow. So I think it is slightly different for each person, but I have 3 steps that I'll offer anyone listening can try, and then feel free to tweak it. Everyone's journey is their own. So please do what feels good to you. But the first step I find for most people is awareness. So we think we are aware of how negatively we're speaking to ourselves, but at least in my experience and in my clients' experiences, we don't know how pervasive it is. So if I ask someone, are you nice to yourself, or do you kind of look in the mirror and beat yourself up? They'll definitely say, I beat myself up, but they don't realize that it's happening dozens of times every single day. So I like to help them first become aware. And I kind of make this a little bit fun because it's a heavy topic. So I have them name that negative voice. So very popular name right now is Cruella because of the reprise of the movie, but I've had all kinds of names, everything from Bob to Karen, which happens to be my mom's name. So I love that name. I'm not hating on anyone named Karen. To Brunhilde, all across the spectrum. And we name that voice. And then the client is responsible for just recognizing and saying, hey, Cruella, I got no time for you. I'm dismissing you right now. Psychologically, this works because we have cognitive dissonance if we try to dismiss ourselves. Mm-hmm. So if I say, Megan, stop talking to Megan, it's like very confusing for my brain. Mm-hmm. But if I say, hey, Cruella, go away, it's easier for me to detach that. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is to practice just choosing another thought. So what I don't believe in is if someone looks in the mirror and their natural instinct is, ugh, my muffin top looks bad or something like that. I don't believe in saying, you are the perfect specimen of a beautiful human and you're flawless and nothing's wrong with you, that's too big of a leap for them initially. So I'll just ask them to choose something else that's slightly more positive or even neutral. Maybe that's, oh, your arms look strong, or you're having a good hair day, or those pants are very flattering, or something that's a gradual step, but just choose another thought to anchor on. So we're gently drowning out those negative thoughts. And then the third step is the big one, to intentionally compliment yourself once per day. So I have them put a Post-it note on their bathroom mirror with a smiley face, and whatever they can do, whatever they can muster that day, just say something nice to yourself while looking in the mirror. I know it's super cheesy. I started by complimenting the freckle on the bottom of my foot. That's as far as I could go because I was in such a negative place, but I've seen it in myself and others really spiral into something positive. So those would be the first 3 steps I would offer.
I love that. I think that's so helpful. I love the naming. Well, I do that with like the disordered eating brain. So if someone's, we don't work with active eating disorder clients, but someone who has a history of an eating disorder or they have disordered eating patterns, like in the eating disorder world, you name the eating disorder. They usually will call it ED.
Yeah.
But I'll have like my clients give it a name that makes more sense for them.
Yes.
And that's so powerful. It's so powerful with body image. I think that's so great. I love the idea of putting a Post-it on your mirror. It's a great reminder. And it doesn't even have to say, like you said, it's just a smiley face.
Yes.
Yeah. So like they just are reminded to like say something nice about themselves, and it could change every day.
Exactly. And some people, if they live with a roommate and they're really not comfortable sharing what they're working on or something, the smiley face might just be a completely random thing. Then on the flip side, I've had some people whose partners are like in this journey with them, and maybe the partner sees the smiley face and compliments the client, and that helps as well. So I think it spreads the love even to people who aren't directly my client.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh, also going back to what we were saying earlier about like how life-changing it can be to heal your relationship with food and find food freedom. Like you're just such a better, happier person overall. And it definitely affects the people around you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. So let's get into more specifics of like someone's nutrition, right? Yep. So, I think when it comes to healing your body image, there's a big component that is mental.
Yeah.
But I also think that there's a strong component that's required in action. It's actually like showing your body love. And showing your body love can be by nourishing your body with nutritious foods.
Totally.
So let's talk about like, what are some tips that you have to make it easier for someone to maybe look at food differently and just start to implement some healthier habits and behaviors?
Yes, definitely. So I am not the type of person, and I get a lot of these requests. Maybe you do too. People come to me and they're like, I don't care what the science is. I don't care about behavior. I just want a meal plan. And I'm like, I'm not your person. I'm sorry. Because I don't believe in one size fits all meal plans for every single person. I think we've got to really enjoy what we're eating. Yeah. Now, if someone hasn't eaten vegetables in 5 years, they're honestly not going to enjoy like a raw kale salad, which my taste buds really appreciate. I mean, not plain kale, but like something massaged in some really great tasting dressing. I'm going to enjoy that, but I don't want to push that kind of stuff on people. So I'll just ask them, what vegetable do you like or could you like? And it doesn't matter. It could be anything. If they say the only thing I like is baby carrots, then I'm going to be like, awesome. Let's see if you can get baby carrots in every single day this week and build momentum and positivity that way. So then they come back and they say, I skipped the baby carrots 2 days. I just couldn't do it. And I'm like, wow, that means you ate baby carrots 5 days this week. That's awesome. And we just kind of build their confidence. It sounds, as I'm saying that, like you're coddling people, and I'm not. But if we have nutrition as a source of negativity and we're always beating ourselves up, it's really hard to want to improve. So part of it is that celebration, just celebrating every little bit and letting them choose what feels good. And then tangential to that is helping them realize how they feel. So I never, ever ask a client like, what does the scale say? Or did you get into that next notch on your belt today or something like that? That's never how I would start a consultation, but I will always start by saying, what improvements do you notice this week? So maybe they say, wow, my digestion, I actually went to the bathroom every day this week, and it used to be like every 3 days or something. And then I'll start helping them tie that to the food choices, because no one wants to feel bad. Mm-hmm. And everyone knows, for example, that vegetables are healthy for us, but we don't always make that connection. So it's like a platitude, like, oh, vegetables are healthy. My mom said I should eat vegetables, or I read that in a book. But until they actually feel in themselves, my digestion's better, or my energy's better, or, oh my gosh, I actually didn't even want that bag of chips today, something like that, then we can start making great progress.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to your comment before about you're definitely not coddling them. I think so many people, it's so funny because what you're describing is like what I talk about so much is like when someone comes to you and they're just like, I want a meal plan. People think that they want to be told what to do, but they don't. They want to be taught, because no one wants to be told what to do. That's where the rebellion comes in, where it's like, well, I'm not doing this. I can't do. No, it's really learning how to make it work for you. And once you understand, like you said, not from like, vegetables will make you healthier standpoint, but from like when I eat vegetables consistently, I have better bowel movements, my skin's better, I feel better, I have more energy, like I just feel better overall, then people will start to like understand why they're doing it. And then it makes it easier for them to continue. And like you said before, like the small steps, they, accumulate, they want to keep going. But if you throw too much at someone that like too quickly, it's going to be overwhelming and they're going to stop.
Totally right. And you know what? At the beginning of my practice, I would like do anything clients asked me. So if someone said, I really, really want a meal plan, and I told them all the reasons, and then eventually I would just give in and make them a meal plan, 100 times out of 100, they would come back and be like, oh, well, I didn't tell you, I don't like Brussels sprouts, and this sounds gross, and I didn't want to spend this much time making it. Like, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, no, definitely not. In my practice, I would say like towards like some part of some of their programs, like I might like give them like a mock meal plan for just like ideas and inspiration. And I almost do it too. So for those of you who are listening who have worked with us before, you're going to know why I do this. It's almost like to be like, see, this is not what you really wanted.
I love that.
Come to the realization on their own. So I'm not going to spend hours, because that's another thing. I don't think people realize how many hours it takes to create an individualized meal plan that's not being utilized. Like, I'm all about working smarter instead of harder. Yeah. So it's like, I will spend, maybe an hour or so creating like a mock meal plan for like, 3 to maybe 5 days out of the week. Yeah. Not all 7. And anyways, all that to say, I do it for them to be like, oh yeah, basically they'll probably learn maybe one new recipe or one new meal that they want to implement as a staple, which is what we teach them anyways. And we end up encouraging them to explore a new recipe once every 2 weeks or so, that to become a new staple. And like, it's like we went a roundabout way to get them the same lesson.
Totally agree. And I too have like a meal plan, like a template, an example. So I share in that logic. And I think sometimes we need to help people realize what's actually beneficial for them.
Yeah. So yeah, which is okay. At the end of the day, we're here to help people. So we'll do whatever we need to do to get it.
Yes.
But, for those of you listening, chances are the answer is not a meal plan.
Yep. Now you know the secrets.
Yeah, you know the secret. It's trial and error. It's small changes over time. It's consistency, support, listening to how you feel, and continuing to take action towards the things that make you feel your best.
Yes.
So staying on the topic of nutrition and food, one thing you talk about a lot is like helping, like not getting a meal plan, but helping with meal planning.
Yes.
Right. So how can you help someone with meal planning or making some like preparing their meals a little bit easier for them so that they can reach their health goals? How do you do that?
Yeah. So first of all, I'll say meal planning and food prep is a lifesaver for me. I love it. I do it every single week. It saves me time. It saves me money. It saves me stress. It saves me so much. So for me, I love it. And I always have people come to me as new clients and be like, I just don't think I can meal plan the way you do, or I can't food prep, or I don't want to food prep. And I'm like, that's fine. Health is so individual. And I do not think, in fact, I actually think it's healthier to prepare meals fresh as you're about to eat them. That's just not something that I have fit into my current lifestyle. And so food prep is critical for me. But I don't think the food prep itself is necessary or even helpful for everyone. I do think some semblance of meal planning is helpful for everyone. Mm-hmm. So even if that means I don't want to cook at all, I want to pick up some food every single day on my day or on my drive home from work. Well, I personally believe that healthier food, it's easier to get healthier food when we're cooking it, but that's fine. I'm going to work with this person. However, if that person has had a really long day and has used all their willpower, making other decisions for work, and then has to decide at 7:30 p.m. as they're driving home what to eat, well, they're going to choose driving through McDonald's or something that they know doesn't make them feel good, but it's like, that's just what I have the capacity to do right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm fine. If you want to enjoy your McDonald's and you love it, and that's like your thing every once in a while, I'm fine with it. But on a random Tuesday night, just because you don't have any other capacity, I don't think that makes people feel awesome. So having a plan to drive through Chipotle and get the cauliflower rice bowl with veggies and guacamole, or having a plan to drive through the local salad shop or whatever, having that plan can really be helpful. Mm-hmm. And then for people who are ready to take it to the next step, even like I prep 2 big pans of roasted vegetables each week, and I know I'll eat them. Roasted vegetables are so tasty. I think they're the tastiest way to enjoy vegetables. I'll just throw them on. Let's say like something crazy happens and we end up ordering pizza, or I have a day where I just don't feel like I'm going to eat the food that I prepared. Well, at least I have my roasted vegetables to add on to things, and I never get to the end of the week and they're still there. So I don't even remember what your initial question is.
No, those are great about helping people with like planning and meal planning ahead. I think that was so great. At the end of the day, you need to figure out what works for you, but 100%. If you just think about what you're going to have for dinner, like at breakfast, chances are you're going to make a better decision versus like not thinking about it all day and then just being like, oh crap. Like just the act of taking the chicken out of the freezer, that alone is like so huge, right? So whatever it is that you're doing, like each little step definitely will help. And then your comment about the veggies, like I would say that if you don't cook them by the end of the week, they probably still will be there and they'll be bad and then you'll throw them out. But if you get them and you cook them, chances are you will eat them.
Totally.
And I think having a plan is always a great idea because you can always veer from that plan. That doesn't mean that you have to have that food. But if you don't have an idea of what you're going to have, chances are you're probably going to eat something that you're like, I didn't really want that. Right. And there's a difference. I love that comment about like getting McDonald's or whatever it was that you're craving. Like there's a difference between like choosing to get takeout because you really want it versus like that's your end result, like you're just like kind of just like exhausted or starving or just like hangry or whatever it is. And like, that's why you're eating it, right? So we don't want to eat it by default. We want to eat it because we chose to eat it.
Exactly. And the way I tackle each, like for dinner, for example, I'll go through and say, if I have like an event or something like that on, let's say Friday, then I obviously won't plan for that dinner if I'm going to be eating there, but then I still have 6 other nights. Then I'm going to star one. I put a star on my little meal plan. That means see what happens. That means I have 5 other nights that I'm going to plan for. And so let's say 3 of those nights I'm planning a chicken vegetable stir fry, and 2 of those nights I'm planning some kind of seafood dish. Well, if I happen to write it down on Tuesday, the seafood dish, but I actually want that on Monday instead, I'm fine with that. It's flexible. Mm-hmm. It's just guiding me towards how much I need to buy and how much I need to prepare and giving me a head start to make healthy decisions.
Totally. And I do want to add that if you're listening to this and you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, everything that we're talking about is a practice. So at the beginning, I think a lot of the resistance is I never know how much to buy. Sometimes I buy too much. Sometimes I don't buy enough. That's normal. Eventually, you'll start to realize how much you actually need for the week, and it becomes a lot easier. But if you never do it, if you never practice it, you're never going to figure it out.
Totally. The average American throws away 1/4 of their groceries, which equates to $2,300 in a year. I know that.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot. I mean, everyone could use an extra $2,300 and it takes practice, like you said. But now at this point, since I've been doing it for so long, I waste zero food. It's awesome.
That's good. I'm not there yet.
Well, it's a pet peeve. I'm the weird one who will eat a bunch of random stuff just because I don't want to throw it away. I just hate throwing food away. So
no, I definitely hate it too. I definitely, it's something that, I'm getting better at.
Okay. We all have them.
Yeah. But all right. So let's talk. We talked body image. We talked meal planning. I think that when it comes to just wellness and a healthy lifestyle, there's just habits, routines. There's things like outside of food and nutrition, outside of your physical body that really help set you up for success. So one thing you talk about a lot is a morning routine. Can you teach us or the listeners how they can establish their own morning routine and also what that is? Because I think people hear morning routine and they're like, yeah, I wake up, I brush my teeth, I drink my coffee. That's my morning routine. I wash my face. What do you mean when you say morning routine and how can someone establish their own?
Yes. Well, what I mean is anything that is for you, purely for you. This is your time to be a little bit selfish so that you can better serve the world through the rest of your 23 hours and 30 minutes during the day, but a little time for you. And it's something that feels good. So I will give you several choices after this. But if I say, for example, journaling, and you're like, I hate journaling. Well, that's not a morning routine for you in my definition, because it doesn't feel good. It's got to be something that you truly enjoy and look forward to. And I was that person. I literally was a 9 snooze person. When I was consulting, I would set my alarm for 81 minutes early so that I could snooze 9 times. And I felt so unexcited to get up. I felt like that snooze was me telling the world, I don't like my life. I'm not ready to do this. Let me stay in this safe, warm bed where I don't have to confront anyone. And thinking about it, that just wasn't the message that I wanted to carry forward in my life. So I started, as I was feeling burned out, and even in this career, sometimes it has happened where I'm serving so many people. I don't have time for me. That's when I started saying, my time is my morning. And it has grown significantly. For me, it started with writing 3 things I was grateful for every single morning. I started that in 2012. And knock on wood, I haven't missed a day since, because it has really made a huge difference towards kind of just my energy, the way I show up in the world. So gratitude was huge for me. But I made an acronym. I actually made a morning planner that now I use and I sell as well, just because,
we're going to give me that link.
Sure,
we'll put that in the show notes. Yeah,
I will. And the acronym, for anyone who doesn't get the planner, you can still use the acronym because you'll remember it. It's WAKE UP. WAKE UP, WAKEUP. So W stands for water. I really believe, even I drink coffee too, so I'm not against coffee, but I really believe that the first thing that we drink should be water, because it really helps our body flush out all the toxins collected overnight. It makes our energy increase. It just feels good, helps your digestion. So W for water, A for affirmation. So this could be, like we talked about before, looking in the mirror and giving yourself a compliment. For me, I'm a big goal setter. So I like to read my goals every morning, like my yearly goals, just a few sentences to remind me of what I'm doing in life, of where I'm going, how I want to feel. That kind of stuff is A for affirmations. K is knowledge. And by the way, as I'm going through this acronym, I do not recommend that anyone starts with all of these. I recommend that you choose one to start with and do that before you check your phone. And then, so if it's water every morning, that's great. Do it for a week. Water before I check my phone, and then get into whatever else you do, but build gradually. So K is knowledge. Reading is my favorite part of my morning routine. I've always been a reader. So I just really look forward to knowledge. But for other people, that could be like listening to a podcast or getting a positive news. I know there are lots of email services that send only positive news, that kind of thing. Anything that you can learn, I think is great. E is for exercise. I don't believe it needs to be in the morning for exercise. But even if you chose this, just setting a timer for 2 minutes and like rolling out your shoulders, stretching, doing some yoga, just getting a little bit of movement in your morning. U is for unwind. So I use this for meditation, but this could be prayer or journaling or anything that feels good to you. And then finally, P is positivity, which could be your gratitude journal. I also like listening to a positive song. I have a really cheesy Spotify playlist that makes me happy, and I'll do that. Or it could be reading a positive quote calendar, anything like that. So that's wake up, but just one more reminder not to do all of that at once. You'll feel overwhelmed, and that's the opposite of how I want you to feel. I just challenge anyone listening to choose one and do that first thing in the morning for a week and see how you feel.
You're going to feel tremendously better. Yes. Oh my God, that was honestly, that in itself was so valuable. This whole entire interview has been super valuable. But that, guys, a morning routine, I've talked about this before, but if you're a new listener to the podcast, that's what I started implementing at this point. I guess it was 5 years ago. And I believe that because I had that morning routine, I'm doing what I'm doing today. Yes. If I didn't do that, I'd probably still be working for another company. Actually, I've said this before. I probably wouldn't, because I actually fired all their dietitians.
Oh, no.
Yeah, unfortunately, because of the pandemic. So I wouldn't have been working for them anymore, but like that was the job I was in. And it was because I decided to build my own business on the side. And I had no choice but to wake up early in the morning. And like, you might have to make, it seems like a sacrifice, right? Yeah. It might seem like you might have to wake up a little bit earlier and maybe you're already feeling tired.
Yeah.
However, it's going to transform your energy, your mood, your productivity, in so many other great ways that you'll get it back. You'll get that rest back. You'll get that sleep back. Once you get into that routine, things will just become more clear. So it might require, like Megan said, if it's just drinking water, maybe you only need to wake up like 5 minutes earlier. Like you probably won't need to wake up that much earlier. But as you start to build it out, you are going to require a little bit more time. But it's such a beautiful time. Like Absolutely. Time for yourself is just magic. Absolutely magic. I could
not agree more. And I'm a big proponent. I might lose some followers here, but I'm a big proponent of going to bed early. I think that the time, if we take out our work time, like many of us work, and that's awesome. And I hope you love your work. But if you take out that and you think about time after work or time before work, usually for most people, time after work is like I'm scrolling through TV, or I'm like scrolling through Instagram, or I'm doing something that's like not really adding to my life. Versus in the morning, it's like, yes, this is my time. I'm choosing to wake up and actually do something enriching. And then I can sacrifice a little bit of time at night and go to bed earlier.
Yeah. So helpful. So true. Awesome. All right, Megan. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Is there anything else that you want to add, or something you wanted to kind of share with the listeners before you wrap up today?
Well, we've said it several times talking about various things, but I'm just a big proponent of feeling empowered by taking one step. So I'll encourage everyone listening just to take one step. If it's naming that negative voice, or putting that Post-it note on your mirror, or thinking about your plan for dinners, or choosing your water in the morning, or whatever, just think about one step that you're going to do and actually implement that, and then celebrate yourself as you go through the week. That leads to great momentum. And I know you can change your life just by one little thing.
Yeah. Oh, so powerful. So where can people find you if they want to connect with you, continue to ask questions, follow along?
Yes. So thelyonshare.org is my website, THELYONSSHARE.org. And then I'm on Instagram at thelyonshare, again, LYONS, and then another SHARE. I'm on Facebook as well. And I would love to connect with anyone and help them out however I can.
Yeah. So I'll definitely put those links in the show notes, and also your morning routine.
Yes.
I want it. I definitely
I'll send you one.
I love that. I've done so many like different journal prompts. I get like tired of things really quickly. So
yes. Well, the Pepper Planner's 3 months, so it'll hold your attention for that.
That's good. That's perfect. That's pretty much usually how long I last with something. And then I'm like, all right, what's the next thing?
I totally get it. I'll get your address after this and I'll send you one.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, guys. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, if anything Megan shared or something that we said that resonated with you, take a screenshot of this episode, put it on your story, tag me at tips_with_Tony with an I, or at the Tips with Tony podcast, and tag Megan as well, and let us know what your takeaway was, or share with a friend. If you haven't rated or reviewed the podcast, definitely do that. It helps the message get out to as many listeners as possible. And we just really appreciate the support. So thanks again for being here. As always, I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.